Yo people, what going? I don't know, it's the King Boss. Welcome back to RonsTechHub. And in this one, I'm going to be speaking about the Valve Steam Deck. Now, I'm really surprised that Microsoft actually let Valve beat them to this. But to be honest, if there was another company that was going to do it and do it well, it would be Valve. Let's jump into this one. First things first, what is the Steam Deck? Now, the Steam Deck is essentially Valve's answer to the Nintendo Switch and to portable PC gaming. You get a 7-inch tablet with a traditional controller layout, so you have buttons, triggers, directional D-pad, so on and so forth. It has Steam OS, a modified version of Steam OS installed, and you get to play all the games on Steam. So let's get to the specs, right? We have the CPU to be an AMD Zen 2. It has 4 cores and 8 threads, ranging from 2.4 GHz to 3.5 GHz. For the graphics, it has 8 RDNA 2 compute units. Alright, so when it comes to storage, we have quite a few options, right? So we have a standard 16 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM installed in each model. And from there on, we have a 64 gigabyte version, which is for £350, which has eMMC storage. So that's normally what we find in mobile phones. Not the quickest, but for small compact devices, it is what's normally used. Up from there, we have one for 460, so 459 for 256 gigabytes of NVMe storage. So that's more likely going to be like a 2240 M.2 SSD. So that's going to be much faster than the eMMC. And finally, up from that, we have one for £569. That's a 512 gigabyte NVMe SSD, and it's just more fast storage. Personally, I would go for the 256 model. That gives me the NVMe storage over the eMMC. One other noteworthy feature to add is that they all come with a SD card slot, which means that you can add, I'm guessing, up to 1 terabyte of storage. So this is a really good addition for people who want to transfer games on and off the SD card. I wouldn't really recommend playing directly from an SD card because there's going to be so many read and writes that the SD card will either probably burn out or just be running really hot over X amount of time, which actually will just burn out eventually. Next, we have a 7-inch 1280 by 860 Hz or 60 frames per second touchscreen. Not the best or sharpest screen in the world. However, for such a small device, I think this is a good place to have it. In terms of sound, we have stereo speakers on the device. We have a built-in microphone. We also have a 3.5mm headphone jack. I'm making the assumption that this will double as a microphone input as well. We have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. Those are given, I believe. We have USB-C with DisplayPort 1.4. So those are the connectivity options we have there. We have 2 trackpads on here, one under the left under the left analog stick, and one under the right analog stick. Now I'm making the assumption here again that this is technology that's been carried over from the discontinued Steam controller. I think that controller looked really cool. I'm not a controller person. I can't even use a controller on Xbox or PS5. I actually use my Zim Apex. However, when it comes to the look of controllers, I think that could have been something that was really good because it had those 2 touch areas. So I'm assuming again, as I said, that technology is coming over from the Steam controller. It looks really neat. Now let me jump into my thoughts and feelings about this device. First things first, I want to say well done to Steam for actually doing something like this. Well, Valve, sorry. I expected this to come from Microsoft first because they've been pushing so heavy Game Pass and game streaming and just trying to take over other departments that's not directly a Microsoft department by allowing crossplay and stuff like that. I am glad that Valve is the one that's taking the reins on this one because I do believe that they have a lot more invested. They want to sell the hardware as well as the software. So I do believe that they have a bit more invested. Whereas Microsoft, in the last couple of years, I would say their main focus, in my opinion, has just been Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass, which is not a bad thing, but that's purely software sales. I do like the way the device looks. It does look very reminiscent of the Nintendo Switch, but to be honest, that's where the comparisons actually end. This is a fully fledged PC that's going to be held in your hand. So all the games that you can play, well, most of the games that you can play on a PC you should be able to play here. Games coming out in the next couple of years will have, I'm sure, more demanding specs However, the fact that this has a Zen 2 CPU and it has RDNA 2, I believe, technology, you should be covered for a year or two. That's what I'm saying. But it's all dependent upon what the developers of the games actually do. What I don't like the fact that they give you 64 gigabytes of eMMC storage. I think 128 gigabytes of M.2 would have been better. However, I do understand them trying to cut the cost because this device has so much tech inside of it, and again, it's a fully fledged PC. It's running a SteamOS, well, a modified version of SteamOS now, but you can install a fully fledged version of Windows 10 and other distros. Now, I do think Microsoft really dropped the ball on this one. Let me give you a few reasons as to why I think so. So, Microsoft already has a partnership with AMD because, as you know, the new consoles, the Xbox Series X and S, both run AMD chips. So Microsoft already has that deal in the bag. Actually, years ago, when AMD was going downhill, I actually thought it would have been a good idea for Microsoft to buy AMD, but I digress. That's beyond the point right now. So Microsoft has a good partnership with AMD. They're getting all the chips for the Series X and Series S from AMD. So it wouldn't have been really hard for them to work together to do exactly what Valve has done here, which is to develop an APU together. So for those of us who don't know, that's a combination of both the graphics and the CPU. Well, everything that's built onto a system. So essentially a system on a chip. They already have an OS in place. They already have Windows 10 and it already has touch features. Oh, well, Windows 11 is coming out now and already has touch features installed or built into the operating system. Now, I've always been an advocate for Microsoft actually trying to trim down Windows 10 and the upcoming Windows 11. I mean, the ISO itself is about 4 to 5 gigabytes, but when you install it on your system, it comes out to about 16 to 20 odd gigabytes. I think that's a bit excessive. And I think if they could have trimmed down Windows 11, or if they can trim down Windows 11 to have, just like you have Windows 11 Home, you have Windows 11 Pro, you have Windows 11 Ultimate, you should have Windows 11 Gamer Edition, where people like myself who might want to game on a PC can still go ahead and install the operating system, and then they can bolt on the other features that they might want. If they did that for something like, I don't know, the Microsoft Gaming Deck, which would be hopefully the equivalent to the Steam Deck, that would be amazing. Have a very light, very quick OS with only modern features. We don't need all the older and back in the day stuff, because this is a brand new piece of technology, and most gamers nowadays, they're gonna know their way. Most PC gamers are gonna know their way around the PC and know how to solve those issues anyway. So I think that's one of the reasons one of the ways they dropped the ball as well. Another one was Game Pass on PC is already a thing, and they're coming with Game Pass streaming. So I'll be able to play any game on the Microsoft Store or any Microsoft allowed game via game streaming. So again, this is why I said earlier, having a 5G, or let's just say a SIM card slot in this device would be really good, because I could stream on the go. And in London, New York, well, first world countries around the world, let's say, 5G is becoming a big thing. So being ahead of the game would be really amazing. Now, if Microsoft is listening, if Phil Spencer is listening, please take these ideas and run with them, because I do believe Microsoft has everything that they need to actually jump into something like this and be really a good competitor to Valve, because Valve has no competitor now when it comes to the PC gaming market, and now the PC gaming market in the mobile section. So if Microsoft can come in and disrupt that market and be the challenger to Valve, that would be really good for us consumers. Now, when I heard about this device a few days ago, I wasn't too impressed with what I saw image-wise. It's only when I dived into the specs and saw the capabilities of this device and saw that it's actually running a fully fledged version of SteamOS, a fully fledged version of Steam, and it's not going to be some game streaming only device. Obviously that might be a feature as well, but it's going to be a PC that you hold in your hand that you can play the full version of Grand Theft Auto 1, the full version of Halo 5, or eventually when Halo 6 comes out on. That's what got me really interested. I was like, whoa, so that means I can fully move away from my laptop, and when I'm having my flight to go to the Caribbean, I don't have to sit there for 9 hours watching airplane movies or whatever it is that we watch on the planes, right? I could have my Steam Deck. I could be playing, that's 9 hours of gaming potentially with a portable charger or two, and that could be a really nice experience. Now, that's not the only use case for it, obviously. I think people at home will love this device as well. But again, it was only after I went in and saw the specs, the features, the capabilities of this device that it actually pulled me in. And I think two or three of my friends ordered it. I haven't managed to get my hands on one. I'm not going to pre-order it because I just have way too many devices right now for gaming. So I'm going to wait until they get it. I'm going to ask them for their input, them for the features that they like and don't like, so on and so forth. But again, Valve, just well done for being innovative. Well done for not just sitting there with what works and just hoping it keeps working. Well done for trying something new. I hope other companies jump back into this. I mean, Nintendo is already there, Valve is there now. I hope Sony comes back with the PlayStation Portable and maybe have it do something similar, because we now have the power in portable devices to not match our home consoles, but to play it at lower resolution, lower frame rates, that we can still enjoy it. Because the PSP now, if it comes out now with, let's say, PS4 specs or Xbox One S specs, and we can play the fully fledged game on a mobile console, I'm sure Sony will ship those things in droves. And if Microsoft comes and does the same thing, I'm sure it's going to go in droves as well. One of the most recent videos I did spoke about why consoles are better than PCs, and this again comes and hits the nail on the head, because this is amazing value for performance, right? Because here we have a device, the most expensive version of this device, I think it was £570. And for that, I have graphics, input, output, just everything I need. This is, again, a fully fledged PC. Whereas right now, the cheapest RTX 3060 stroke 3060 Ti or 3070 I can buy is still above those prices. So again, value for money is going to be amazing. Performance might not be great because you're stuck at 720, but again, you're limited to a 720p screen anyway. So having 1080 or 4K, you might not even notice a difference that much. It would be a bit sharper, but I think it's something we're all willing to forego, right? Now I'm going to say this. The fact that Valve can add different variants which have a 256GB SSD or a 512 gives me the impression, well, this is just again my assumption, that there is a slot internally which we, the user, might be able to open up and change an M.2 2240, I think is the shortest SSD you can get, or there might be a shorter one, I actually don't know. If we can actually open this device and fit a larger SSD in, this again makes this device such an amazing value proposition, because I would personally buy the eMMC version, which is normally soldered onto the motherboard, and then go out and buy, I don't know, a 512GB or a 1TB M.2 2240 SSD, open that console up, slot that in there, install my SteamOS version on there, and I'm good to go. And that would give me then the same performance as the more expensive version, but then I could add as much storage as I wanted. The longevity of these devices in terms of performance is where I'm a bit worried, but not worried at the same time, because just like PC games, well, this again, I keep getting this confused. These are PC games and we can always just throttle them back to make them match whatever hardware we have. And Zen 2 and RDNA 2 have been really good to us so far, so I suspect they'll continue to be good to us for another couple of years. And because again, these devices, a fully fledged PC with everything that we need, is so cheap, we should see some good timings with this. So that's it from me, guys. I'll be watching this whole Steam Deck, the Valve Steam Deck articles very closely, and just giving you my thoughts like I've always been doing. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, do the whole thing. Thanks for watching. Peace.